This 2017 Mazda 3 has a unique, it's in a unique situation. It's having a unique issue. It's, you know, there's something wrong with the brakes on this thing. And you know what, I'll let you decide. You look at it and you decide what happened. What's going on with this? I don't know. You know, I don't know. You know what I do know is what this repair order tells me. It says electronic braking system been grinding. Rear brake pads have been removed. Rear brake pads. These pads are off the rear driver's side caliper. The EPB unit is strap tied to the shock. Seriously? The vehicle has no brakes. There's no brakes. I mean, don't even try and drive. If you drive this thing, you don't want to go over 1 or 2 miles an hour because it ain't gonna stop. The brake pedal goes all the way to the floor. And it's been sitting here for a little while, not too long, and there's a puddle of brake fluid, you know, underneath the left rear wheel, the driver's wheel, driver's rear wheel. So what it looks like to me, and I don't know, you decide, you know, what you think it is, and when I show it to you, it looks like to me that the customer drove the vehicle until the rear brakes started to grind, you know, metal to metal in the rear. You know, drove it till the brakes were metal to metal, making noise. He pulled the left rear caliper off, took the brake pads out, and then pushed on the brake pedal. That's what it looks like to me. Piston came out, fluid everywhere. We got no brake pressure or anything, and he just zip tied the caliper to the shock or rear shock or something, and just left and towed it here. You know, thank God he towed it, because yeah, it has no brakes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace the rear brake caliper, and I'll show you why. And we need to try and get this thing into service mode. I don't know if that's gonna work because the rear caliper is hanging off the back. Of course, you know, I've been pushing on the brake, you know, and so that's not like it can hurt anything more. But we need to get it into service mode, and we're gonna do front and rear brakes on this thing and replace the caliper and the actuator, and hopefully we can get this thing to learn where the rear calipers are, because I've had problems with these before where they don't want to learn, which is exactly why we're replacing the actuator, because I've had one before where the caliper piston came out, and you know, it's happened here in the shop. I'll put it back together, put everything back together, and the electronic parking brake system will not relearn where that thing is. It's like, oh, okay, well, we need to replace the caliper, put a new caliper on. It still won't learn. Contacted Techline. Mazda's like, no, there's no way of relearning the thing as to where the rear brake actuator is. You just need to replace the actuator. It just seems like a waste. But because of that, I'm selling an actuator and a rear caliper. So we're gonna replace those. We're gonna do a rear brake job. We need to bleed the heck out of this system, and hopefully, you know, we can get it to bleed. Hopefully we can get it to relearn. Otherwise, you know, I don't know what we're gonna do. Oh no. All right, I got the rear wheels taken off. Take a look at this. This is how this thing came in. It's got a zip tie, or zap strap. You know, if you're Canadian, they call it zap strap. Anyway, it's zip tied to the shock and the brake line mount or perch right here. The caliper bolts are sitting right here in the bracket, It's been taken off. You can see where the thing went metal to metal, and it's not that bad. This can be turned, this can be resurfaced. So I'm gonna resurface it. And this piston is completely out. Yeah, it's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, and if we look at the other side, so the other side is not metal to metal, but I don't know if you can tell that brake, that pad is, there's nothing there. Let me get this. This right here is for checking brakes, right? So you can show somebody how thick their brake pads are. It's got a little thickness gauge on it. So this smallest one right here, what is that? 4 millimeter? 4 millimeter is the smallest one. And I don't know, you probably can't tell. It's so hard with this camera, but this won't even fit in between the metal part of that brake pad and the rotor. So it's below 4 millimeter. It's probably more like 2 millimeter, maybe 1, I don't know. Metal to metal is what I call it. Is it metal to metal? No, not yet. You don't want it to get metal to metal, so you say it's almost metal to metal, so we need to replace them. It's not, you know, I'm recommending replace them. No, it's we need to replace it right now. So the front brakes, they're not this bad, but I went ahead and I recommended replacing those too, because I don't want to, you know, I don't want the front brakes to go through what these rear brakes went through. So, you know, I'm just gonna sell them front and rear brakes, and we're gonna do we're gonna bleed the system, and we're gonna do a BG brake fluid flush, brake system fluid service or whatever. But first, before we do anything else, I want to try and get this into service mode. Service mode, what it does is it pulls these actuators, it pulls them all the way back so that you can push these pistons in. This one, it don't matter anymore. This one, we're gonna wanna be able to push this piston back in, you know, whenever it's, whenever we get to this side. But thing is, I don't know if it's gonna do it. Let's just see, it might not even move. Hopefully it does, for the sake of that actuator on the other side. These pistons, they have another piston inside of this piston. Inside there is another piston which has like a nut thing that goes onto like a worm gear, which goes all the way up, and this actuator twists that worm gear. So when these come off, it's not just a matter of getting them to go back in and pushing them back in. You have to get that nut that's inside that other piston that's inside this piston to get onto that worm gear, and then you need to twist this. You got to get the actuator off and twist that, and then push this at the same time to get them to go back in. I've had these calipers come off before, you know, in the shop. So one of the things that I always tell technicians is don't ever take both your calipers off at the same time. Just don't do it. I mean, you might be okay, and a lot of times you would be okay, but there's always that chance. What happens is, and it doesn't matter if it has these automatic, you know, electronical parking brakes or not. Just don't take them both off at the same time, because you're gonna wanna push this piston in on this side whenever you do this brake job, and if the caliper's off on the other side, it could push the piston out on that side, and then you got brake fluid everywhere, and then you got to bleed the system and put the caliper back together. In this case, these calipers, they don't like to go back together. But I've had it happen before a couple of times where the technician took the caliper off, set it aside like that, and they did the brake job, and then they went to go put it back together and push this in and realized they didn't put it into service mode. Whenever you don't put it into service mode, or whenever you put it into service mode, what happens is it pulls this piston that's inside the piston all the way back. It retracts it back so that you can push this in. They realize they can't push them in because they didn't put it into service mode. So they go to put it into service mode, and One thing that they do is they put their foot on the brake, and when that happens, this comes out, and you can't just push them back in. Like I said, you gotta take them all apart and stuff. And I've had, I'd say probably like 3 of them, at least 3, maybe 4, that this happened to, and I was able to get one in. I was able to get it all, you know, buttoned up, put back together, got the actuator working properly, and the vehicle was fine and went. The other ones would not go. They pieces of the inside of the piston came apart. It's like, what is this piece? I don't know. Throw it away, put the thing back together. It doesn't work. It doesn't know where it's at. You replace the caliper. And what has happened that I found is like, okay, so I know a piece of that piston on the inside of that piston came apart, so let's just replace the caliper. We put a caliper on it and then put the actuator back on the caliper, and everything works fine. Only the electronic parking brake will work like one time, and then it goes into this thing where it sets the parking light on and it won't work anymore. They don't move or anything, and you try and calibrate and do all kinds of stuff. Spend a lot of time, hours upon hours, trying to figure out what's wrong with this thing. Contact Techline. Techline says replace the actuator. And it's like, why? Nothing happened with the actuator. It was the piston inside the piston, and the caliper came apart. And I replaced the caliper. It was like, it doesn't matter. And I've asked Techline, it's like, isn't there a way I can go in and tell the electronic parking brake module where the parking brake is? Like, relearn it. This is 0 point, you know, all the way in or something. And they're like, no, you can't do that. They can't even do that. They don't know how to do it. It's impossible to do. The only thing you can do is replace the actuator. So hopefully we only need to replace one actuator and not both actuators because of that. So we're gonna find out. So before we go any further with this, and I take this off of here and stuff like that, it's still plugged in right here. I'm gonna let this down, and we're gonna go through the procedure for putting this into the rear brake service mode. It's pretty easy. It's just a little song and dance with the brake pedal, gas pedal, and push button. And I'm sure I've shown that before in one of my other videos. It was, I think, the last around the shop video. Yeah, Mazda around the shop. One of them, I showed it. You know, I'll put a link. I'll put a link right up here. You can go check that out. But we're gonna do it right now, and we'll see if it works. So what I'm worried about is the passenger rear caliper actuator. I want that to go into service mode so we can push that piston in whenever we get to it. I think what I'm going to try and do is just like hook up MDARS real quick, see if I can clear whatever code is in it. And I mean, it's going to come right back probably, but let's see if I can clear it and get this to go into service mode. Otherwise, we're just going to have to do it without it, and we're going to try and figure out what we can do on the right side. I don't want to have to replace the actuator on the passenger side because there's nothing wrong with it. But if this system, and there's a module down below this, you know, underneath this center console, there's a module. It's a parking brake module. And I don't want to, you know, if I can't get it to learn itself, then we're probably gonna have to replace the other actuator. Heck, we may even have to replace the parking brake module, and that's a lot of money, you know. So let me get the MDARS, hook it up, and see if I can get this thing to clear at least for a second so we can put it into service mode. If not, then we're just gonna move on, and we'll just see what happens when we get to that one over there. Okay, I tried to hook up MDARS and I forgot. This thing's a 2017. MDARS doesn't work with 2017. I had to go to IDS. But another thing I forgot is when it came in, the battery was like completely dead, and don't know why. I had to charge the battery up. So I just have a ton of codes here. I mean, there is a ton of codes right here. Most of them are all for battery. So this one right here, so I got battery voltage on the electronic parking brake, battery voltage, right actuator. That's not good news. General electric failures 2 on right actuator. Left actuator, mechanical failures. Left actuator, general electric failures too. Okay, so those are the only electronic parking brake codes that we have. And I'm just going to clear everything. Most of the stuff is, you know, control area network, you know, lack of communication, mostly battery voltage because the battery was completely dead. I'm hoping those General Electric failures is because of the battery, probably not. So I'm just going to clear the code, and we'll see if this thing goes away. I doubt it. Just from my experience with these electronical parking brake, they do weird things. I mean, they will throw you for a loop. It's like everything is working, everything works fine, and then the second later, nothing works. Why? Why did it work 1 or 2 times and then now it doesn't work at all? And now it's, you know, it just, you will spend a day like going through this trying to figure out why the stuff's going wrong, why it's not working right, when there was nothing wrong with it. And just to contact Tech Line, they're like, oh, just, you know, replace the actuators, or replace both actuators and the parking brake control module. It's like, why? You know, it's just such a waste. Okay, so I got one code that came back that says battery voltage. What? Okay, warning lamp on. U3003 battery voltage, that's what it's saying. And the parking brake is still blinking. So, and that brake light is on, that parking brake light is on. Let's see if I put my foot on the brake, pull this up. Okay, what I want to do, I'm doing it the wrong way. I'm supposed to be pushing it. Okay, now I hear something moving. This thing's trying to move. Okay, that probably just set another failure. So, yeah, I was pushing it the wrong way. So if I put my foot on the gas pedal all the way down, push this down, so I'm holding that down, and then at the same time I'm trying to hold the camera too. Push this 3 times. I don't hear anything. I don't think it went into that mode or anything. Let's see. Let's recheck the codes, see what codes came back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and clear the codes again. Only this time I'm not going to try and release the parking brake. I'm just going to go straight into the brake service mode and see if that will do something. So it said, well, CMU display. Electronic parking brake battery voltage, a left actuator mechanical failure. Okay, so it knows, hey, there's a mechanical failure in the left actuator. It's not really the actuator, it's the caliper, but it's going to always think there's something wrong with the left actuator, and you have to replace the actuator. It's just a waste. And there's nothing wrong with the actuator, it's the caliper. So I'm going to clear the code again. And let's see what happens. Let's see if I can get this thing to go into rear brake service mode. You have to put it into brake service mode in order to push those pistons in. These pistons, they push right in. Once it's in service mode, it will retract that piston inside the caliper, and then whenever you're ready to do your brake job, you just push the piston straight in. On the ones without the electronic parking brake, then you don't want to try and push those. You have to actually twist in, because they have a little lever in the back that whenever you pull the brake, it pulls that lever and that pushes the piston, and then you release the brake and it releases that lever and it pulls the piston back. So those are different. These, you can push them just straight in, but you have to put it in service mode so it can retract that piston inside the piston, so to speak. I don't know what you call it. I just call it a piston inside of a piston. So it has the same code. It just says battery voltage. So I don't know if you can read that. It just says battery voltage for electronic parking brake. So I am going to just, I'm not even going to put my foot on the brake. Put my foot on the gas pedal all the way down. I'm going to push this down and hold it. Push this 3 times. And I hear some stuff moving. And I'm just going to call that good. I'm just going to say that's good. Let's get this out of here and let's replace that caliper. It shouldn't take too long. I'm just going to replace the caliper on that side, and I'm going to turn the rotor. Then I'm going to move to this side. I'm gonna put, yeah. Let's just go. All right, let's see if our parts department got us the right parts before we go on to anything else. That's the customer's old brake pads, just in case if you wanted to see those. Metal to metal, they're not that bad. I mean, they're thicker on the outside. The inside is gone. So it was just barely hitting metal on there. That's the way they do. This should be a set of rear brake pads. Yep, those are the rear pads. And I have new front pads sitting around here somewhere. This should be the actuator. Is it the correct one? It's definitely a actuator. I think that both sides are the same. So that's a brand new actuator. And then of course this will be the caliper. I think, is it caliper with bracket or is it just caliper? What? Seriously? What? Why can't I get this tape off? Okay. Oh no, this just, you want a caliper, that's what we're gonna get you. That's what Mazda is. We're getting you a caliper. You want the bracket? Oh, you wanted the bracket with it? Oh, well that's separate. You know, but you want the caliper, we're going to give you a caliper. At least they throw these bolts in. So we got new bolts, you know. So that's it. And of course, did I get a new crush washer for the thing? No, I didn't. I'm just going to reuse that. It'll be fine. Why didn't I get, you know, why even ask? Why I didn't get a part? It's just, you know, what do you call it? It's just a rhetorical question. No need for an answer. Everybody knows the answer already. Okay, let's get this caliper taken off and put all this stuff on there, and then we'll just see what happens. The first thing I want to do, I'm going to disconnect this. Already got brake fluid all over me. I want to take this out because the bolts, it doesn't come with bolts. You know, oh, you wanted those bolts? You want bolts for it? Okay. So this is an Allen wrench. I call it an Allen wrench. It's an Allen wrench. It's on a socket, so I call it an Allen socket. But this is an H4. What does the H stand for? My guess is hex. So some people call this a hex wrench, because of the hexagon, because it's got 6 sides, you know, or whatever, 6 sides. So anyway, this barely, and I mean barely, fits in there. So we got 2 of these bolts holding the thing on. I got to use this real long one because I have 2 other ones. One's shorter, like too short, it's hitting on the edge there. Another one's super short. So that's one. I want to get the actuator onto the other caliper before I put the other caliper on. So that's why I'm just taking these bolts off. Let me find something to cut this zap strap off. I got 2 big, huge zap straps. I mean, I don't know why somebody would go to all the trouble, pull this thing off and zap strap it on. and then hit the brake, and we got brake fluid all over the place. The worst part about it is, yeah, the worst part about it is the HECU, the hydraulic electronic control unit for the ABS traction control. You do not want to get air in those things, guys. I mean, talk about a real pain in the butt is dealing with those things that have air in that you cannot bleed, and I guarantee we got air. Let's see if I can get this one off. Come on. Oh my God. Nope, it's stripping. Oh, what is the deal with these? I mean, it's the right size, but it's stripping. It like came loose and then now it's stripping. Great. Let me figure out what I can use. Oh, you know what? That's weird. So maybe it's my fault. Look at that. I don't know if you can see. That is, looks like a Torx. Let me see if I can find a Torx that'll fit that. That's, usually they're Allen. Okay. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, that's a T30. Oh my God, yeah, so that's a T30. It's a Torx. And of course I got this big, let's see if this will even fit on there. Of course the edge of it is hitting right there. And this is the longest T30 I got, and then it's kind of messed up because somebody jammed an H4 in there. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can knock the thing in. I'm gonna get this something with a little bit of persuasion in the form of a brass hammer. You know, that little persuasion never hurt anything, or did it? Maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. This is the only bolt that we have, so I got to get it out. We didn't get new bolts. Okay, it's turning. It's turning. It's turning now. Come on, get out of there. Okay, there it is. So now I can stick the actuator. I mean, there's not really anything wrong with this actuator. It doesn't look like there is. But it's not going to program. It won't program with this actuator. I don't know why. You ask Mazda. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, so before I take this off, normally what you would want to do is block off this rubber line. Maybe you can kind of pinch these a little bit with a pair of vice grips or something. You want to be careful. Don't over pinch them because you'll ruin them on the inside, but if you pinch them down a little bit, it'll stop the brake fluid from flowing. We're going to move real quick. We're not going to pinch it off. It's not going to matter. We already got brake fluid all over the place, and I guarantee you we got air in our HECU. Let me get this actuator onto this caliper. Okay, new thingy, caliper thing. Is this the right side? Is this the correct side? Yeah, it is. This goes on this way. La-da-da-dee. Let's put this on really quick. Yes, I'm going to tighten this side. No, well, it's not a good idea to tighten one side and then try and put the other side on. It's always a good idea to get all your bolts on, then start tightening them down. I just didn't want to pull this socket off until it was tight. Like that. Does a T30 fit on this side? Look amazing. It fits on this side too. That's torqued. Okay, so there we go. And just stick this in there. Okay, let's see if I can get this off. Of course, since it's not attached. Okay. Take it off, put it back on before it bleeds everything out. I don't know how much brake fluid is still left in this. Wait a second. Yeah, nothing. There's nothing coming out of it. Let's set that right there. This crush washer is stuck on here, which, you know, if we got a new crush washer, we wouldn't have to worry about it. But, you know, I mean, you know, if you know, you know, and I know you know why we don't have a new crush washer. This goes into that little hole. Wait. How many hands do I need to do this? That goes on there, the crush washer. Put another crush washer right there. Turn this upside down so it lines up. I can get the bolt, the banjo bolt started. Make sure that goes down in that hole there. Turn this. I'm not really getting any brake fluid out of this line. That is so, you know, I don't know, maybe don't talk about it, how worried I am about that HECU not having any fluid in it. Tighten this down. Okay. Now, I just let that hang. What does it matter? There's a little bit of Loctite on here. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna use the new ones. Let's got new one. Why won't this come out? Seriously? I can't get this out. These sliders are good. I'm not even gonna bother trying to lubricate them because they're good. But I need to turn this rear rotor. So I'm gonna get the machine and turn this real quick, and then we can get new brake pads on it, and then we'll just move on to the other side. Once we got the rear brakes done, then we're gonna bleed the system, and then we'll do the front brakes. All right, you can tell this thing cut really nicely, both sides. So one pass, no problem. Let's get these brake pads on. The one with the early warning signal that obviously didn't work for the customer. It goes on the inside, because the inside wears sooner. See if I can get this in there without looking at it. Come on, get in. Yeah, let me put the outside one on first. It's easier when you can actually see what you're doing. Wait, am I putting this on right? Yeah. That goes to the inside. Push that in without it popping out. Push it in, push it in, push it in, just like that. Get the new caliper. Put it on there. It's right in. Get the brand new bolts. Now, of course, this caliper we didn't need to push in because it's already in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other side off, and I'm going to right away try and push that caliper in. Because if it doesn't go in, then we're going to try another way, or we're going to try again to see if we can get this. Trying to see if we can get this to, what am I doing? It's supposed to be a 14, it's a 14 millimeter? This is a different size than the other bolts. I already put the other bolts, I already took the other bolts off. What was I saying? I'm gonna try and get the other side to push in. If not, then we're gonna try and do the put in service mode again and see how that works. Yep, this is a 13. It's not a 14. The other one was a 14. Okay. Okay, 13 millimeter. Got to hold backups because we got Loctite. So I had a subscriber tell me once I was doing a brake job like this. It's like you shouldn't hit that wrench with your hand because you can do damage to my hand, of course, not the wrench. And I'm like, you know, you're right. I probably shouldn't do that. So then I started using these longer ratchet wrenches, and they work really good because I can get, you know, a lot of power push and stuff. But it just so happens that not too long after that, working on something else, not brakes, I broke this thumb right here. There's something wrong with this joint right here. It is very painful. Something's broken in there. And I know it's from hitting a wrench with my hand. 13 millimeter. Okay. And I'm going to plug this in. And then let's move to the other side. Okay, other side. I'm taking this off and disconnect this. Sometimes they don't want to come off. 13 millimeter, not 15, 13. And of course you need to hold backups because it's got Loctite in it. Come on, get off of there. Come on. I need a 17 millimeter wrench that's skinnier. Or I can grind this one, but Don't feel like grinding it. Come on. Okay, let me find something else. This. That works. Okay, what I want to do is try and push this piston in. And if it doesn't go in, then we're going to go through that other stuff. Okay, get this in here, see if this thing even pushes down anything. And no, it's not. It's not pushing anything. And I'm definitely not going to force that. So it won't go in. I'm just going to leave this. Well, I'll tell you what. I take this back out. Stick this back on here. Well, untangle the brake line here. Stick this back on here so it can't push out any. Plug this back in. Let's see if we can clear that code. So let's see if the code clears now with a new caliper and actuator on the other side. Hopefully it'll clear, and then let me grab the IDS again, and hopefully it'll clear, and then we'll see if we can put it into service mode, see what happens. Right now I got it hooked up. I'm clearing the code. Let's see if anything comes back. Hopefully not. Of course, that may still be confused until it finally figures out. So what I'm hoping it does is whenever we go to put it in service mode, it's going to try and spin this caliper backwards. And when it realizes it's at its end, it's going to stop, and then the other one can go to its end, and then it'll stop, and then it'll know where it's at. That's what I'm hoping anyway. The other one, because it wasn't hooked up with that, the way that caliper was pushed out all the way, it was spinning, but it wasn't drawing the thing in, so it just kept spinning more and more and more, and that makes it think that it doesn't know where it's at. It still says battery voltage. I don't know why. That's such a weird thing. Battery voltage. Warning lamp is on. Let's see. I'm not going to put my foot on the brake. I'm just going to, well, no, I'm going to put my foot on the gas pedal, push this down. Okay, I heard something. Hit that 3 times. Now I hear everything moving. I can hear the other one back there moving. It's still moving. Now it's stopped. I'm still holding this. I still got my foot on the gas pedal. Turn that off. Okay, leave it be. Leave it be. I am gonna disconnect the IDS. And then I'll get this thing back up in the air and see if we can push that caliper in. Disconnect the actuator. Pull the caliper out. Turn it over. Grab this thingamajig. Stick it in there. Push the piston down. It looks like it twisted a little bit. Sometimes they do kind of turn, though they're not supposed to. Yes, it is going in. It's going all the way in. That is excellent. Come on, let go. All right. That little dust cover right there. It's kind of messed up. Sometimes these things, they get air in them. You can kind of go in there and kind of pull them off the piston a little bit, if I can get to it, or just leave it. I've done both many times. If you can kind of pull it away from the piston, you can allow the air to escape. Yeah, just like that. I don't know if you saw that little puff of air come out of there. Come on, a little bit more. Okay, good enough. Is it perfect? No, but it's good enough. One of the things that we want to make sure of is that this piece right here, it should be pretty even with the bot, with the center right there. That right there. So I may need to turn this piston, or it might be fine. Let me see. Yeah, okay, on this one, it's not gonna matter. I'm just gonna let that hang. No big deal. Yeah, on this one it doesn't matter. Some of them it does matter. This light is going out. Some of them you can kind of tell where that piston was sitting, and you see this little knobby right here. Some of them have a knobby in the center, you know, or in the top or whatever, and so that would have to fit in that knobby little thing poking out right there, you know. But this one doesn't have it, so this one doesn't matter. Get this. Yeah, that was pretty thin. So I'm gonna get this brake job done, and then we will be done with this. All right, we are back here again. So I got the other thing cut, you know, perfectly fine. Everything was working well. It cut perfectly. And I got the actuator or the caliper put back on and everything, and the brake pads. So I am going to take this out of service mode. Let's see what it does. So we still got the parking brake light on. We still got the electronic parking light on right there. I'm going to put my foot on the brake. I am going to pull up on this. I'm not on the brake. I got my foot on the gas pedal all the way down. Gas pedal. I'm gonna pull up on this, and then I'm gonna hit the start stop button 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I didn't hear anything. Okay, pulling up actuates it. And try that again. Turn it off. Turn it on. Gas pedal all the way down. Pull this up and hit this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I'm not hearing anything. Maybe we gotta clear the code. Okay, turn the key on. I have the IDS hooked up right here. It still says battery voltage. Hit clear. Clear this code out, and let's see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we know that we need to bleed the brakes for sure. Brakes are that's a whole nother issue. And you know how I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna use the BG brake flush machine, and I'm going to just push fluid through there, and we'll see what comes out, how much air comes out or whatever. I'm just gonna do it like a flush, like mainly flushing the rear. Probably I sold the customer flush, so we'll flush the front and the rear, and then I still have to do a front brake job, but I want to make sure that I bleed these brakes first, because the front brake job is not that big of a deal. It's just like the same way I did the rear brake job with on-car brake lathe. But I would like to get this figured out. So now we got 2 codes. Control module deactivated. Oh no, that's not a good thing. Right actuator, General Electric failures. Did I plug it in? No, I didn't plug it in. Oh, thank God. Thank God it wasn't plugged in. Oh man, so this just means that there's a chance that it might be all right. Let's clear the codes again. Oh God, well, no wonder why it didn't want to work. We're not out of the woods yet. Yeah, let's wait for this thing to clear. It takes a little while. Electronic parking brake light is at least not blinking like it was before, so that's good. Let's just see if these codes clear. Come on, hurry up. What's taking so long? The one good thing about the Mazdas, the IDS and the MDAR system, is whenever you disconnect it from the vehicle, it keeps itself at the spot that it's at, no matter what. So whenever you go and plug it right back in, you don't have to re-communicate with the vehicle and stuff. Let's see. It says control module deactivated. That's not a good thing. Warning lamp on, fault is currently present. But the other code's gone, so this is a new code. Control module deactivated. I wonder if maybe we need to disconnect the battery. I'm gonna try it. Let's see. Let's try this again. Put my gas pedal to the floor. Pull up on this. Hit this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything at all. That thing's blinking. Turn this off. That's still blinking. Well, it's blinking only when I hold it. If I put my foot on the brake. Nope. Key on, foot on the brake. Nothing. Key off. Okay, let me try and figure this out. Okay. I disconnected the battery. I put my foot on the brake for a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, might accidentally get brake fluid in the system instead of air, because it's, you know, it's full of air. Anyway, I tried to clear the code and it doesn't matter. The code's still there. But I disconnected the brake, or disconnected the battery, and you know, I put my foot on the brake to put the brake light on to clear any capacitors and stuff like that of any power. Hopefully power in the electronic parking brake control module, so that it'll learn that, hey, you know, it's okay, you're activated again. Anyway, let's try this again. Foot on the brake, and I'm gonna pull up on this, because that activates it, that actuates it. 3 times on the start stop button. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I hear it. I heard something. Okay, so I'm still holding everything. I'm gonna turn this off, release it, put my foot on the brake, pull up on this. Yeah, they actuated. I heard them actuate. Turn the key on, see if I can release them. Yep, actuate them. Release, actuate, release. Okay, so if you do a brake job on the rear of one of these and it has those actuators, then and you put it into service mode, whenever you're done and you put it back into regular mode, then you want to activate and unactivate, you know, or activate the rear brakes and then release them, and do that at least like 3 times. That way it learns where the brakes are. Anyway, now we don't have this parking lamp, parking brake light on, this amber light. Is this released? That's activated. That's released. Let's see if this code will clear. Hopefully it clears, and then we're gonna bleed the brakes. And we need to hurry. It's almost 5 o'clock. So yeah, that's the main thing, getting the brakes to bleed. There's a lot of brake fluid on the ground here. It's not a whole lot, but I mean, there wasn't a whole lot in there when it came in. The brake pedal feels better, it feels firmer, you know. It's still spongy, but it's still firmer because, you know, at least there's not a hole. It doesn't have a piston hanging out. So, I mean, that's good. The thing that I'm worried about is air in the hydraulic electronic control unit, the ABS traction control unit, because sometimes air can get trapped in there and then you can't get it out, and then you got to replace the whole thing, and that is really expensive. Okay, so look, no codes. Electronic parking brake right there, no codes. Everything's good. So, whew, that's good. So now, let me get the BG brake flush machine, and we will start pushing brake fluid through these lines, and hopefully we can get it bled. Okay, this is how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna clean this off real quick. I like to spray these down, clean them off. This is just glass cleaner, some kind of glass cleaner that the parts department gave me. I don't know. It's glass cleaner. And set this over here with all this other junk, grab a rag, and what I'm gonna do, so I am just going to flush this brake system and just pray and hope for the best. And I'm not even gonna look to see how much air comes out. I know there's gonna be a bunch of air because I know there's tons of air in it. So I told the parts department to give me 3 bottles of Mazda brake fluid, and this is what they gave me. This is for doing a brake flush. So this is BG brake fluid for a brake flush. I think that one of these bottles is cheaper than 3 bottles of Mazda brake fluid. The only difference is Mazda brake fluid, I mean, it's a Mazda brand, is .3. This is .4. So it calls for .3. Just looking on here. Yeah, so I don't know if you probably can't see that. It says .3 right there. Anyway. And this is .4. So the only difference is .4 has a higher boiling point than .3. So if you have .3 in your vehicle, you can use .4. You can mix them. If the vehicle calls for .4, don't put .3, because there's a reason why it's calling for .4. .4 has a higher boiling point. That means their brakes probably get too hot for .3 to handle. .3 can't handle it. So that's why it's calling for .4. So if it calls for .3, you can put .4, but if it calls for .4, don't put .3. And that is the way that I know it. I am going to fill this up. So I got 2 of these bottles because I was so I asked for 3 bottles of Mazda brake fluid, which is not as much fluid as that is in one of these bottles, and I was going to use that Mazda brake fluid to stick in this machine and bleed the system. Then after that, I was going to do a brake flush, which basically I would be pushing all of that Mazda brake fluid out with one of these. So it doesn't really matter. What matters is that we get all the air out. So I need to figure out which one of these fits. It might be this one. Let me see. I don't think it is. The smaller one, or is it the medium one? It is the medium one. Okay. So get this on there, get this tightened down. Grab this hose right here, which is this one. plug that in. I got the air hose hooked up to it. Bring this up to at least 15, a little bit more than 15 psi. Turn this, oh wait, before I do that, and disconnect this. I'm not just doing a brake flush. I don't want to push even more air through there than I have to, because that reservoir is empty. So I want to fill the reservoir. So I'm going to use this stuff. And see if I can do this without dropping brake fluid all over the whole vehicle. Fill this up. Maybe it's a good thing I got extra brake fluid. Okay, now stick this back on. Let this out. Get this locked on there. Tighten it down. Hopefully it's on correctly. Put this on. Turn it on. I can hear it leaking. It's leaking. Seriously. You try not to make a mess. Yeah, that's even more of a mess. Come on, what's going on now? Oh, great. There's a big mess I got to clean up there now. What's going on with this? Loosen this up. Stick it on here. Lock it in. Turn it. Turn it. Turn it. Tighten it down. I mean, don't clean it up because it might make another big mess. Put this on here. Come on, get on. Turn it on. Is it blowing up? Actually, that's the first one I've had blow up in a while. They used to blow up all the time. This kit right here is actually pretty good. I don't think I got it on there right the first time. Okay, so it's on. I don't see anything leaking, but I got a big mess I gotta clean up. Okay, so now get this thing up in the air and just start flushing it. Let's look at this thing. So I went ahead and I lost one of the leader valve caps from the front. I gotta find that, you know, or I'll find another one and put it on. Anyway, I flushed all this stuff out of here. So I did more in the rear than I did in the front. It has this HECU right here. So once the fluids come from like the rear, so we got front and rear going all the way around to here, and then it goes individually to each side. Of course, the one for the driver's rear had all the air in it, and it probably bled through this and then went to the one on the passenger rear. So the rear had more of the issues than the front, probably, but once this reservoir goes down a certain amount, then it shares the front and rear part, you know. I mean, it shares it down let me get this right. It shares it down to a certain point, then once it gets low enough, then they're separate. So that way, if the rear goes completely dry, the front won't be completely dry. Anyway, so because of that, I did more bleeding in the rear than I did in the front, but I flushed it all. So right now, I want to go ahead and turn this off. So I still got, you know, not a full bottle, but mostly a full bottle there. I'm going to get this pressure out of here. Release the pressure. Pressure released. Let's turn this off. Disconnect it. It's making a mess. I'll probably make more of a mess. So just for right now, I just want to see how our brakes are in the rear. Because that's the main thing, is did it bleed and do we have a proper brake pedal? So yeah, I'm pushing on the brake pedal. I know that you can't see this. Pushing on the brake pedal with my foot. It feels fine. Let's start it up. Yeah. Brake pedal feels normal. So that's it. That is pretty much it. So let me turn this off. Oops, accidentally hit the wipers. Okay, turn that off. All right, so got this caliper replaced, got the rear brakes turned, resurfaced this side too. I still got the on-car brake lathe hub on here. I need to get this off. Got this all done. That's the main thing. I just need to do a brake job on the front. I'm not going to show that to y'all because, you know, you see one, you've seen them all. You know, and I didn't even show you turning the right rear rotor. I mean, because, you know, that's like watching paint dry, you know. And I showed you the left rear rotor, turning that one. So that is pretty much it. The takeaway from this video is do not remove one of your brake calipers and then push on the brake. That's the worst thing you can do. The piston comes out, and in this, especially in this case, I mean, because we're replacing the caliper, we're replacing the actuator, and then of course it needed brakes. The whole time, all it needed, as far as I can tell, is it needed brakes. From what I can tell, and I don't know the whole story, from what I can tell, the rear brakes were metal to metal. They're making noise. The customer pulled the brake pads off and then he pushed on the brake with the caliper off, and that caused all the damage. You know, all he needed to do was bring it here and we would have done a rear brake job and fixed it. So that's all it really needed, was a rear brake job, but it got all this stuff now because of that, because of pulling the caliper off and then pushing the brake. Don't do that. Don't remove both your calipers from both sides and then push a caliper piston in on one side, because it could push the piston caliper out on the other side. Now, if it were just these front brakes, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. We would just push the piston back in, it would reseal, puts the dust cover on, reseal it, clean it all up, and then bleed the brakes, and it would have been fine. But not these special Mazda calipers with electronical parking brake. So that is pretty much it. And I will knock out the rest of this and get this done. Ain't no sense in showing that. Thanks for sticking around. I appreciate the heck out of each and every one of you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.